state. The cabal has had unrestricted ability to manipulate its way to influence influential judicial positions over the years, until the presence of the EFF on the JSC. This EFF presence is ensuring due radical scrutiny that will bring about the long overdue transformation of the judiciary. At the center of this transformation is not the appointment of black-skinned people. It is about black conscious people who will not bow to the interest of the dominating and racist white establishment. Accordingly, the EFF has briefed its own lawyers to join in the Constitutional Court case initiated by CASAC. We will defend the decision of the JSC to exclude Jamnanda's friend. We will also defend the principle of the separation of powers. The courts must not decide for Parliament as to which individual must serve in the Judicial Service Commission. The EFF will always oppose the use of Indians and colored people by the white monopoly establishment to fragment the black unity. We know for sure that blackness is not about pigmentation, but a mental attitude of commitment to the collective upliftment of black people in general and Africans in particular. The EFF is proud of the efforts by the Southern Caucus in the Pan-African Parliament to foster African unity and fight for the implementation of the rotation principle. The Pan-African Parliament is an organ of the African Union established to hold executives accountable. In keeping with the objective of building African unity, the AU's several sessions adopted and confirmed the principle that elections of members in all its organs shall be on rotational basis. This means each region will from time to time have an opportunity to hold strategic positions in all organs of the AU. Since its formation, PAP has not had any president from the northern and southern region. The East, the West, and Central region, dominated by Francophone countries, have historically used their numerical strength to block the practice of rotation. Despite the AU's advice that PAP must comply with the rotational principle, the dominant regions sought to ignore this and proceed with elections. Over the years, France has manipulated these numbers to impose a candidate of their choice. This explains why during last term elections, the France foreign minister addressed PAP without initially being scheduled in accordance with the program soon after a Francophone candidate was elected. Similarly, it is no coincidence that the President Emmanuel Macron's visit to South Africa coincided with PAP's program to elect a president, which means Macron, like his Minister of Foreign Affairs, was meant to give a surprise visit and address the Pan-African Parliament with the hope that PAP will have elected their supported Francophone candidate. The refusal to implement the principle of rotation was to make way for the highly sponsored Mali candidate who landed with a private jet in South Africa. However, thanks to the resistance and formidable spirit of the Southern Caucus, supported by the Northern Caucus and all progressive members of the Pan-African Parliament, France's plot was defeated. We call on France to stay out of African affairs, in particular the Pan-African Parliament. We further make a call to all African youth in Francophone countries to fight the France agenda to keep Africa and its leadership chained to imperialist interest. The EFF congratulates its Labour Desk, which celebrated its one-year anniversary last month. The Labour Desk has been at the forefront of fighting for the exploited workers across the country. It has ensured that racism, sexism, and super-exploitation are confronted right on the shop floor and doorsteps of the capitalist establishment. During its existence, the Labour Desk has received 37,467 cases from ordinary workers across the country. Of these cases, 23,789 were successfully resolved, with only 13,674 outstanding and ongoing. The EFF Labour Desk is going nowhere, and workers of South Africa, together with their unions, are free to appeal to the help of the EFF to fight injustices at the workplaces. The EFF Labour Desk is not a union, neither is it replacing unions. It is a support structure to workers individually and collectively. The EFF Labour Desk is combat ready to help ANC workers who have not been receiving their salaries over a period of some time. We'd like also to congratulate the EFF GBV desk of the EFF, which has also been at the forefront of confronting gender-based violence. It is due to the pressure of the EFF GBV desk that Parliament concluded and adopted the 3 GBV-related bills. In less than a year of its existence, the EFF GBV desk has held dialogue to deepen understanding of gender-based violence, directly helped 276 victims, held 90 demonstrations and marches, and also received thousands of GBV complaints. This is a demonstration of a pragmatic commitment to the fight against GBV. We shall continue to work with communities and formations to fight against rape, femicide, and abuse of women and the LGBTQI+ community. The EFF also revived the Commission of Gender Equality report on women that were forcefully sterilized by the state without their consent. And today, the department is forced to compensate the women who were forcefully sterilized. Lastly, the EFF will join in the celebration of the Pride Month, which seeks to eradicate homophobia and the discrimination of the LGBTQI+ communities. In conclusion, the EFF will commemorate the 45th anniversary of the June 16 youth uprising outside the 8 Cic High School in Centurion, where a learner wearing EFF regalia was assaulted by the racist security guard. We will hold this event in compliance with COVID-19 regulations and call on all who will attend to wear masks and always practice social distancing. In addition, we call on South Africans to keep safe with the rise of COVID-19 third wave. We shall overcome. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Commander-in-Chief. We have now come to that part where we take questions from the journalists. We will start in the room, if there are any hands. Okay, we'll go in this order. Ntlantla, Dewu, Mbali, and Mutibe.
Thank you so much, Ntlantla Katlane from SABC News. You guys have written a statement letter to the IEC, Mabane, and we all know the position of the EFF with regards to the elections being held during this time, and you have cautioned about, the repercussions of holding elections around this time. I just wanted to know if you guys will take part with regards to putting input to Justice Moseneke's inquiry. Yeah.
Sure. Let's take this one, and then we'll come after him. President, we'll take this question after him. We need to go.
No, it doesn't work like that.
Oh.
Huh?
What is it saying?
I was saying we must take one question and then we go. Is it fine if we take a second?
But it has never worked like that.
Okay, no, that's fine.
Okay. In table with the SAPC. Mr. President, it seems it's a foregone conclusion that the IEC is steaming ahead with having elections, despite your concern or the concerns that you've raised. What is that you will be doing to sort of convince the IEC and all who cares to listen, to say it will be irresponsible of a country that is having a problem with COVID-19 to go ahead with elections as planned? Secondly, it's scandalous, if not pathetic, for a country like South Africa to be having 60 million people. And since the rollout of the vaccine, I think less than 2 million people have been vaccinated, and some of them are still waiting. We've seen politicians, some of them getting vaccines, while the go-go's and the old dead are still waiting for that. Is there any advice that you could give to government to sort of restore really its glory in terms of as a country that is so developed in the continent? And maybe on the PAP, you're a member of the Pan-African Parliament. Aren't you worried that since its inception, almost 20 years ago, there's been a talk that it has to become a legislative body. But that thing hasn't happened. It seems MPs are just skirting around issues instead of moving this parliament that so people think would sort of alleviate some of the challenges that the continent is faced with. That's my submission.
Mbali Titani from Newsroom Africa. Mr. Malema, also talking to the issues around the IEC, this is not the first time that the IEC... Yes, Mr. Malema, it's not the first time that the IEC goes ahead and makes an announcement like the one that we saw yesterday. We know that earlier this year they had a meeting with you as political parties, but still went ahead the day before and made that announcement of the elections. When you look at the IEC's attitude and how they've been dealing with elections this year during a time of a pandemic, how do you view that attitude, especially to you political parties, some of the political parties who have raised their concerns of having these local government elections later this year? Coming to the issue around the health minister, you've also mentioned that you think that President Cyril Ramaphosa treats the health minister, Zweli Mkhize, with kid gloves. We know that he has been placed on a special leave. You know, do you think that special leave is enough, especially with the allegations which have been leveled against him with that irregular contract? And what is your take on having the Minister for Tourism, Mamoloko Kubai, as the acting minister, especially now when we find ourselves in a pandemic? And, you know, you've spoken a lot about those vaccines which are desperately needed in this country. Thank you.
This is Mudiba from the Inside Factor. Before I ask my question, I want to commend the leadership of the organization. It's our first time here as the Inside Factor to a press briefing of the EFF. And we started our organization and our platform as young black people because we saw the leadership. They did not complain, but they started their own thing. So thank you for showing young black people that you can start your own platforms and people will follow you. My question is directed to the leadership here. Will the EFF be advertising on mainstream media platforms that have been biased towards the organization with regards to local government elections? Thank you.
Thank you, President. Those are the 4 questions.
Thank you very much. For some reason, the IEC thinks it is untouchable and it is law unto itself, and that it doesn't listen to anyone except the ANC and Paul Mashatile in particular because of his friendship with the CEO of the IEC, and that they can always manipulate and run the CEO of the IEC from Lituli House. And because the attitude of the IEC, you can see that it's an attitude of a person who's got political protection. You know, when you think you've got political protection and you're untouchable, you behave exactly like that. And I think that it is an attitude that is very unfortunate, because IEC as an institution should be the most transparent and most open and to persuasion, because it deals with different constituencies and cannot be married to political parties. We are not shocked because when Mashinini was appointed, we actually pointed to that direction. That is one individual who's compromised and who's aligned to politicians. And we see that now in his conduct together with the CEO of the IEC. And they are going to undermine the credibility of the former Deputy Chief Justice. Because you can't appoint such a senior judicial person and act as if nothing happened. even if the Moseneke comes and says, no, the elections must continue, we'll say, yeah, I mean, it has always been like that. That's why the IEC went on to launch. He came here to just rubber stamp the decision of the IEC. So they are compromising an extremely independent man, the most objective man, the most credible man, a man who has demonstrated over a period of time that he's got an ear and he can listen and he can be persuaded. That's why we welcomed the appointment of the former Deputy Chief Justice, because he's a man of integrity. But what the IEC is doing to him, they will destroy him. If they've got respect for him, they should have waited, and the former Deputy Chief Justice said he will give us a report by July. He has already called for political parties to make submissions, SG. Yes. And we're already doing that. We're going to make our submission, and we actually, in our submission, are going to ask him to allow us to also come and make oral submission, so that beyond issues of writing, we must also be able to present and persuade him to arrive at a different conclusion. But how the IEC is going about it, appoint him, spend money on him, and then say to us, we are ready to go, as if we don't care what former Deputy Chief Justice has to say. It's really unfair on the former Deputy Chief Justice, but also unfair to the taxpayers who are paying money on a program that the IEC doesn't take serious. They are engaged in wasteful expenditure. And we hope that the Auditor General will actually arrive at a similar conclusion. We are going to write to the Auditor General to scrutinize this transaction as to why was it necessary if you are running two parallel things. They are driven, some of them, by corruption. They can't wait to print posters of the IEC calling for elections and ballot papers and T-shirts and contracting their own relatives. There's nothing else that is driving them except a political protection and corrupt activities. Because if they were driven by rationality and the need to save life, they would have waited for former Deputy Chief Justice to release this report. He has done a wonderful job with S.D. Many. He has done a wonderful job as a Deputy Chief Justice, who many of us had wanted him to be a Chief Justice at the time, because he was one of the most qualified, credible judicial officer at the time. So we really think that the IEC is informed by something else other than what it's supposed to inform the IEC. We're waiting for Moseneke to finish his report. Based on Moseneke's report, we'll announce our next move. Elections is not what happens on the day of elections. It's not. Elections is about what happens before the elections. How do you say you don't allow more than 100 people inside and you don't allow more than 250 people outside? My branch of the EFF has got 700 members. We must now choose a candidate. Which 250 people, members of the EFF, are going to be allowed inside when they choose a candidate? Which criteria are we going to use to determine of these 700 members, which 250 must come inside? Unless we are encouraged to overlook those regulations, they are not worth the paper they are written on. The ANC uses the same method with the EFF to choose candidates. How are they going to choose candidates? Are they going to follow the regulations? And if they are going to follow regulations in branches where they've got more than 250 members, how are they going to choose members to come into the meetings? Because if I go to my branch and I say, only 100 will be allowed in this hall since it's cold, I'm going to be accused that I've only allowed those who support my candidate inside. And knowing you are going to join them. that Malema only brought his people into the hall and excluded 600 plus members of the EFF. That is first. That is the first thing that is going to undermine democracy. Because it's not about what happens on the day. It's about what happens with choosing of candidates. After choosing candidates, Mbuiseni is what? Is 130 what? What 100 and, or what number?
135.
135. It has got 10,000 registered voters. After I choose a candidate for that ward, which has got 10,000 registered voters, I must now send this candidate to go and campaign in that community. He must speak to 10,000 people of that ward. Then he brings, come and meet the EFF candidate who's coming to campaign. 250 people come in. We close the gate. Then 9,750 people are closed outside because of COVID-19 regulations which you must comply with. You expect those people who are locked outside to come and vote for you after you locked them outside and you told them, no, there is COVID, you can't all come in. How practical are we going to campaign if we are to keep consistent with COVID-19 protocols? So campaign constitutes a critical component of a free and fair elections. As we speak now, he said, Ramaphosa, from his mouth, even political party activities are suspended. This new level, this level 2, they said no activity of politics, everything is suspended. How are we going to conduct a campaign if we are suspended? Worse, new parties. I hear Mashaba opening his loud mouth saying, elections must come, elections must come. Where is he going to campaign? People don't know him. He needs the country to be opened for him to campaign. And to open the country now will be to risk the lives of our people. So there will not be free and fair elections in South Africa when one of its critical components, called campaigning, is suspended according to COVID-19 regulations. So the people who are saying the elections must go on, it is the people who are not prepared to comply with COVID-19 regulations. And they are prepared to compromise the lives of our people because they've got uncontrollable love for power. If we had a municipality DP and we say this, maybe they will say, they don't want to leave power. No, we don't have a municipality. We don't say this because we are driven by wanting to hold into power at all costs. If anything, we should be demanding that elections must come because we are more than ready as the EFF. But we cannot do that because we love the people of South Africa. We love black people. We love African people who, when they are sick, they don't have medical aid to be treated in the best facilities. These politicians who are saying, let's go on with elections, whether people are going to get sick or not, they've got medical aid. All of them, they've got medical aid, permit, and all types of medical aid. They've got salaries. They don't care about this downtrodden masses of our people who are going to be killed. On the day of election, what's going to happen? Are we going to be told we must come 250 per day to vote 250 per day? Is this election going to be held over a period of 6 months where 250 will vote per voting station in line with COVID-19 regulations? Because this third wave, it has not started. Remember, we are getting third wave under winter. You know very well that South Africans under winter are not social people. We don't socialize a lot. We stay at home. Still, we get attacked. What's going to happen when springs come? When now the doors open, we now go out, not because of COVID, winter is gone. This is not going to go down anytime soon. You have launched an election campaign. You say no elections, let's go and campaign. The EFF doesn't have money. It takes the little cents that we take. We print T-shirts, we print posters, we do all of that. In August, Moseneke says no election must take place. What happens to this material we have printed? Return 27 October, vote EFF 27 October. What's going to happen to it? Where are we going to get the money? Is the IEC going to refund us this money that we don't have? Whereas the IEC is not financing local government, by the way. They only give money for provincial and national government elections. They don't give us money for local government elections. We're using money from our own coffers. Even when there is uncertainty, IEC says, no, go and campaign and print posters. Buy adverts on radio. Buy advert on TV. One advert, prime time on SABC, is not less than 250,000. We do that. We say to people, no, register to vote EFF. We pay for that advert. They come and say, elections are postponed. What do we do? The writers of this constitution knew that this constitution is a living document which must speak to the dynamics that are taking place at all material times. This constitution is not stagnant. What if there was a war here and shooting all over? We must still hold elections even when people are shooting each other all over. Because we declared this pandemic to be a war. It must be treated the same way we treat the state of war. No, the attitude are the same. So this foregone conclusion is driven by something else other than the IEC's mandate to deliver free and fair election. That they are driven by something else, and they are undermining the old man. We have full confidence in Moseneke, and we'll submit ourselves to Moseneke, and we'll make our submission there. Who would have thought that Zimbabwe can be better than South Africa with something? In this day and era, Zimbabwe is beating South Africa when it comes to vaccination. Let me tell you, people with money are going to Zimbabwe to be vaccinated, if you don't know. People are leaving South Africa to be vaccinated in Zimbabwe. Because Zimbabwe is using the Chinese one, what is it called? Sinovac. They use all types of different vaccines in Zim. People are going there. Here we're stuck with a businessman of a president who looks at profit before the lives of people. He has done it in Marikana, he's repeating it now, where he puts profit over people. Sinovac and Sputnik have been approved by peers all over the world. 60 countries are using Sinovac, they are using Sputnik. Here is a man, a billionaire without a billion, who wants to make a billion now with our situation. Says he doesn't want Sputnik, doesn't want Sinovac. Cyril, every time he speaks, he says we are at an advanced stage to approving Sinovac and Sputnik. He says that all the time. Go and look at all his speeches. But that body, SAMPRA, has been given a mandate to not even touch Sputnik. Everything at SAMPRA has been pointed to the direction that Sputnik is safe, it can be used. Everything is not being used because Cyril is in bed with that Bill Gates who came here to play tennis when he came to clinch a deal. Before even Corona, they knew Corona was coming. We must die because Cyril wants to make money out of this situation. And we are not saying this to you. We told Cyril many times on his face that you are engaged in transaction. You are not engaged in saving lives. Why is Sputnik not being provided? Why is Sinovac not being provided? People in Zimbabwe, in China, are no longer wearing masks. They are vaccinated, they have moved on. This thing has started in China. Why not use their experiences to see how best we can control it? Zweli Mkhize came here and gave us gripe water and said it was a vaccine. That AstraZeneca from India. He came here, gave us grape water, skambelele. This thing is vaccine. Skambelele, where you put sugar and do like this. He gave us that thing. He said it's a vaccine with 20% chances. And then what happens? It was bought. At some point, they were even talking about donating it. Somebody has eaten from India. And knowing Zweli Mkhize's relationship with Indians in Natal and now digital vibes, when he doesn't play. Yes, vibed. AstraZeneca, yes, eaten. Gave us water. How can a minister give us water and call it vaccine and the president doesn't act on that guy? They are together in the provision of water and call it vaccine. They are together. They are transacting together. A minister brings here a vaccine that is going to expire in 2 weeks. You don't act on that minister. You are together. You are vibing together with an Indian vaccine. They ate, both of them. So, we can't. There is no vaccination program to even call it that. You are pretending, you are continuing in misleading South Africa and creating an impression that Cyril is doing something for vaccinating people of South Africa. It's not true. They are doing nothing. They are pretending to be nothing, doing something. They are obsessed with PR. That's why Cyril went to collect that water there at the airport and pretended to be inspecting some paper there. Could not even pick it up that the water is expiring. Sparkling water. We are given sparkling water. The man can't even see that the sparkling water is expiring. And then we must come here with all the propaganda and white-owned media still project Cyril as the best president, even when he fails to save life. So, people are being vaccinated in Zimbabwe. I'm also considering to go to Zimbabwe to get my vaccination, because here, according to the lineup, they will give vaccination, my men, to me and you at the grave. We are going to die before we are vaccinated. So, and they in Zimbabwe, they are making people of South Africa pay. Okay, it's $50 to be vaccinated in Zimbabwe. You are chasing Zimbabweans away and saying they are taking your jobs, they are doing this. Hey, it looks like you are going to be chased away when you go to look for vaccine in Zimbabwe. Because vaccine is available in Zimbabwe. Zimbabweans are being vaccinated. Very soon you are going to be illegally crossing into Zimbabwe to go and get vaccine. Ziyajika zinto. I agree you were singing for him saying, Sizojika zinto, when you were electing Ramaphosa. Indeed, siyajika. Siyajika, but for wrong reasons. Sijika zinto for wrong reasons. Who would have thought South Africans who suffer from uncontrollable pride one day can cross to Zimbabwe to go and seek for help? We told you when we were still in the Youth League, one day you will come to this country and ask for help. That's what is happening now. You are not going to get vaccinated. Frontline workers, it's you, journalists. It's those cashiers. It's petrol attendants. It's those nurses and doctors. It's taxi drivers who carry more than 20 million people per day. Per day. If one taxi driver catches it and touches money or something, they will kill a lot of people. Those are the people who should have prioritized the same way we prioritize them under level 5 lockdown. Up and now we all know who are the essential workers. The essential workers are those who are defined under level 5 lockdown. All of those people, even yourself, you fought to put yourself in that level 5 essential workers, you journalists. Because you go to different places, you cover different stories, including stories of people who are infected and affected by corona. You should have been the ones in the forefront. Dolol. Now, all of you sitting here, if you've got kids, we talk as parents. There's no single one of us who didn't have a child returned from school because one of them tested positive. Now, at this level 3, crèche, I've got 3-year-old and 4-year-old. Twice they've been returned back for 2 weeks because one child tested positive. 3 years and 4 years old. I've got a 14-year-old, grade 9, now for the second time being turned back because one of their own tested positive. Not the parents, the kids. It is now clear it's are taking kids now. Where is the Minister of Education? Who heard from the Minister of Education? What type of government is this? If Minister of Education is sick, like they are alleging that she's sick, she's got cancer, why are we not being told? So that we are not hard on her. What does it cost her if the country that she serves as a minister gets to be told that she's sick? She will be more sick by us being told that she's sick. She's our minister. We must be told, where is the Minister of Education? Results were announced in this country. The minister was not there. They said she got COVID. They didn't take the country into confidence. Now the latest is that she's got cancer. She's our minister. Our children are testing positive. Our children are going to die. Where is the Minister of Education? If these rumors are true, the president owes it to the nation, because he calls half the time so-called family meetings that are useless, which he can just type a WhatsApp into a family group and tell us what is the latest. He says nothing. He doesn't tell us where is our minister. I'm told Jamnandas is also sick. Jamnandas released a statement saying he's not sick. If he's not sick, where are you, bro? Can we see you running? ESCOM is collapsing. Where are you, bro? Dinel is collapsing. Where are you, bro? SAA is dead. No, the other small one of the place. Express, gone. Mango, gone. So, yet, Pravin is declared the best minister by white-owned media. If it was Malusi Gigaba in that department, it's not my friend Malusi Gigaba. If it was him in that department, what was going to be happening? Stage 4. Was Tiba stage 4, my brother? Stage 4. Wow. But from 2 o'clock to 10, without electricity. There's no march in South Africa. No one is marching in South Africa. Because if we march, we are the corrupt who are marching against a clean government. We are marching because we want to collapse this government and get rid of Pravin, who's fighting corruption, because we are corrupt. That's what you call us. When we challenge this incompetent government, You say we challenge this government because we are corrupt. We want to bring back a corrupt government. No one is marching. We're the only ones in this country who have ever marched to ESCOM. No one has ever marched to ESCOM. Not COSATU, not Communist Party, nothing. No one marches. Denial is collapsing. No one is marching. Nothing. Workers are not paid salaries. No one is marching. Transnet, which used to be very profitable under Gamma, today is running on the negative. And I agree with Gamma, things are going to be worse. It's just the beginning. But you, the defenders of this incompetent, corrupt government that defends white interests, go on and defend it. History will judge you and will judge you harshly. We are speaking openly because we don't want. So schools must close, and they must close with immediate effect because our children are going to die. We give ministers 7 days to close schools. Failure to do so, we'll have to close schools ourselves as the EFF. Because we're not going to allow our children to die. We're not going to allow that. It was so painful to lose elderly people. The first wave, the second wave was the most painful thing. Imagine now when we are going to have to bury kids. Can you imagine? Now when we have to go and bury kids, the way we're burying old people. The funeral palace now have issued a directive. They are now telling people when to bury. Why? They are full. They are getting full. The hospitals are discouraging people with minor illnesses and injuries to come. Why? They are getting full. We are where we were before. Schools must close. And these private schools that have got power, which sometimes even give government what to do, tell government what to do, they must be the first ones to lead this campaign because they've got facilities to teach online. Let our children be safe. We'll rework the program the same way we did in the past to get them to cope with this crisis we're confronted with. It's going to be more dangerous. Children are sick and children are testing positive. Ask anyone who got corona, an elderly person, how painful that thing is. Can you imagine that on a 3-year-old, on a 4-year-old? All early childhood development must be closed. Because in the past they were told, no, it's not affecting children. Now the children are the victims. We need to close. PAP will become a legislative body. We must be very patient with it. The way we're rough tackling it is going to be one of the most powerful institutions in Africa. PAP is going to have teeth to bite. It needs capable leaders who will go all over the continent to get ratification so that PAP becomes a legislative body. So we must not even be impatient about it. Health ministers put on the special leave. That is corruption being put on special leave. They said to us they act decisively on corruption. Where is the Clerk Foundation statement on special leave? Because they seem to be ruling from the grave. They comment on everything, but they don't comment on special leave. A party-related matter where Ace Makashule was being suspended, the Clerk Foundation issues a statement. Here is a minister who says, I will pay back, me and my family agreed that we'll pay back the money. After he said, there is no money we received from these people. An admission of guilt. How do you pay back something that you have not stolen? You must pay it back because he took it. But why is Gwede Mantashe not being arrested? Why are we not asking that question? Because the crime of Gwede Mantashe is the same as that former MP. Vincent Smith. Gwede Mantashe's problems are the same as Vincent Smith. Nomvula Mkonyane's problems are the same as Vincent Smith. Why are they not being arrested? If you want us to take this prosecuting authority serious, it is a factional prosecuting authority which targets certain individuals and leave out certain individuals. Cyril has resorted to using state power to purge those who don't agree with him in his party, and is coming for those who don't agree with him outside his party. But he must come for us who are ready for him. There is an Indian cabal that is going on here, and it has co-opted some colors. They take all strategic positions. They did that in the financial sector. Go to every insurance company or any financial institution. It's headed by Indian. If it is a serious compromise, it's a colored. All Africans have been destroyed. Look at who's going to replace that African person who was removed from APSA. If you think I'm sick. Khanyago is not leading the Reserve Bank. It's led by Kuben. It's led by Kuben. We know who's leading SARS. They've taken all strategic institutions. Because white monopoly capital can't go directly. It works hand in hand like it did in the 80s. It works with an Indian cabal led by Pravin Gordhan to deploy Indians in strategic positions, including magistrate. When the case is of an EFF leader, because we can't deploy straight a white magistrate or something, they put a colored magistrate or an Indian magistrate. Go and check all of those cases. They put an Indian prosecutor or a colored prosecutor. Go and check all of those cases. There is an Indian agenda in this country that seeks to undermine Africans. And that agenda is led by Pravin, and it has been like that for years. O.R. Tambo commented about it even at some point. That's what these people are scared of, because that cabal, if you tamper with it, you'll become a hobo in this country. You tamper with Pravin, you'll become a hobo in this country. That's why Kasag is going to court. Kasag called for my removal in the Judicial Service Commission because I asked unpleasant questions. But since I arrived there, which is what you are not telling them, since I arrived there, I've been asking questions the same way I asked that Indian lady. What is so special about that Indian judge? The only speciality about her is that she's friends with the president of the Natal Indian Congress, Pravin Gordhan. You touch members of the Natal Indian Congress, yes, you'll be destroyed completely. But they don't have power over us. We are on our own. They don't control us. They don't control the EFF. Therefore, they can't tell us this is how we need to do things. Never. You know, one day, me and Floyd, we went to meet the president. And the president said to us, he's not happy with this animosity or hostile relationship between us and Pravin. We must meet Pravin and he will facilitate. And we agreed, me and this one, because we're seeing a president. Yes, Mr. President. When we went alone, we're like, that will be a sellout position. Meet Pravini, who's responsible for the misery of African professionals in this country, who's responsible for the collapse of our state-owned enterprises. We had to go back to the president and say, Mr. President, thank you very much, we are not interested. Sorry, we can't meet this guy. We refuse. Because this guy is responsible for destroying our institutions and destroying black professionals, because the only way to outsource it and give it to white capital, you must make it look like it's not working. So that when you come with a white foreign company and say they are coming to rescue ESCOM, Everybody must be so tired of load shedding and say, hi, any form of help must just come. Hi. These people have failed. You must make it fail. Look like it's failing, so that some foreign company can come and take it over and run it for the benefit of the white minorities. That's what we're subjected to now. They suspend ACE. De Klerk Foundation issues a statement. Cyril says this land thing is not correct the way EFF is proposing it. De Klerk Foundation issues a statement. But in the past, we grew up in the Congress movement. Once the movement has spoken, it's either the Communist Party or COSATU that will issue statement agreeing or disagreeing. Now the only alliance that issues a statement is the De Klerk Foundation, because they are in complete debate with white capital and former apartheid murderers who were handling them as spies during apartheid. It was Communist Party, it was COSATU, then it was the Youth League during our time, because we were a party within a party. We also used to issue statement agreeing or disagreeing. Today, the party, the COSATU, have nothing to say. The most prominent alliance partner of the ANC is the De Klerk Foundation, led by a murderer who presided over the killing of our people and who handled some of these people who are leading this government when they were spies during apartheid, because we are led by spies. De Klerk will not have issued statement during the time when we were there, because he knew he has got no control over us. So we are in a mess. Why would De Klerk have an opinion on a party matter and not have an opinion on ESCOM? Why do we still have a CEO of ESCOM? Why do we still have a board of an ESCOM? After announcing level 4, you announce level 4, there's still no head rolling. Stage 4. What a joke. We must close this thing and go to Zimbabwe and get vaccination to survive until we find a solution, because we have become a joke. My brother, well, congratulations with the establishment of your own media house. We have no option but to advertise with these sellouts, because they are the only means of communication, of reaching out to our people. There's nothing we can do. Because to say we're not advertising with 702 will be denying ourselves an opportunity to reach out. We will advertise with you too, because you must grow and replace 702. So we wish that there could be as many independent, African-led and owned media houses so that we can advertise with them. If we had objective, independent media in South Africa, Cyril will not be projected as a saint he pretends to be. He can't give us vaccine, he can't give us electricity, he can't give us jobs, he can't give us food. With all those failures, which are basic necessities, we are still being fed that Cyril is the best, the corrupt one, to remove him from power. I tell you now, even if the most cleanest bishop of your church was to march against Cyril, your bishop will be characterized as corrupt. Because when they block challenging of Cyril, they label you as being corrupt. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, President. I think we'll go to the WhatsApp questions from the journalists who are not in the room. Commissus now, please read them to us.
Yeah, there's quite a few questions, President, but I think
Yeah, those ones will deal with them one by one, because
all right.
there could be many.
All right, so the first one is from Brighton Ngube from Izwi Times in Bulawayo, Zimbabwe. He asks, how does the EFF respond to the sentiments by Patriotic Alliance President Gayton McKenzie that once Patriotic Alliance takes over, after 2 hours, 30 minutes after the election, it will make sure foreigners leave South Africa?
It will never take over. That's why he can afford to say that there's no foreigner who's going to leave South Africa. Here we exist through the Constitution and not through any other means. So don't worry about gangsterism. There's law to deal with that.
All right, and Gaugelo Magolego at UFM asks, as the fight for postponement of local government elections continues, will the EFF not be holding mass rallies?
Well, if we want to comply with COVID-19 regulations, we'll have to ensure that we don't hold mass rallies. We will call meetings in line with COVID-19 regulations, but we have no control of how many people come there. And when our people come, we won't turn them away. So Cyril must choose what he wants. He wants elections or he wants to save life. It's not in our hands. We have made our position clear. But having made our position clear, we are not going to wait in a closet. We have to fight on the space, because maybe they're doing these things they are doing with a hope that they will close us in a closet and hold elections without us having campaigned, and then they win, because the ANC is not going to win these elections, not even in the rural municipalities.
All right, and then Sophie Mukwena from SABC International News. She asks, the recent events at the Pan-African Parliament have demonstrated how Africa is divided. How do you hope to correct this, and what are your comments on the upcoming G7 summit in the United Kingdom?
Well, Africa, it has always been a known fact that Africa is divided because those who colonized us imposed those colonial borders to keep us divided, and so that we don't have a meaningful impact in the geopolitics. So we know that we are divided. What is happening in Pan-African Parliament is an attempt to unite the continent, and for the people of the continent to go beyond borders, but also go beyond the colonizers' languages. Because to keep on being divided through a foreigner's language is to perpetuate colonialism, yet claim that we are anti-colonialist activists. We're calling upon the young people, as we did earlier, to start defying France and reclaiming their countries and fighting for the unity of the African continent. We want one Africa with one president, one executive, one military, one currency, one Africa with one reserve bank, which will not have any reserves in London or in France. All its affairs controlled here, all its gold being stored here in Africa and being controlled here. G7 is a meeting of the elite who just come together and talk amongst themselves for the benefit of the big brothers. We don't benefit anything out of that. And this one, I'm told he wants to go waste our petrol for pictures. Cyril, he wants to go there to go and take pictures with an expensive private jet, even when he knows that here at home there is a problem. Why would a president leave his country to G7 when there is no electricity? He's leaving his country in darkness. You want to claim to have a country when you left it in darkness? A country with such high levels of unemployment, high levels of poverty, high levels of inequality, high levels of landlessness. My advice to Cyril is stay at home. You are useless. You are going to be useless at G7. Just stay here, you are going to embarrass us. What are you going to tell those people at G7 when you can't get your house in order here? When ministers are stealing and MECs, stealing PPEs that are aimed at saving life. We are in a mess. The black elite that benefits from corrupt white capital is all over defending this mess. We are in a mess. We are in a worse situation than we were during Zuma, by the way. We are worse than that time. And to pretend like we are in a better position, it's a self-defeating attitude. We must first acknowledge that under Cyril we are in a mess. And not just in a mess, we are controlled by the Clerk Foundation.
All right, and then a question from Tsidi Madia is around consequence management in the EFF. How does it work? And this is in relation to the two provincial leaders who had their salaries docked in Gauteng, and then a question around local government. While deliberations take place over whether they should go ahead, has the EFF decided in terms of coalition talks, lines you're willing to cross versus no-go areas, and what responsibilities you'd like to take on municipalities and which parties you're willing to go into discussions with?
Well, in the EFF, we decided all branches must go to BGAs by 30th of May. We've concluded that phase. Majority of our regions have reached 90%. So 90% of the IEC wards. Then you qualify to hold a regional people's assembly, what you ordinarily call a regional congress. So our branches will be going there. We have given an extension that all those who have not managed to hold their BPAs and BGAs by the 30th of May, they've got until the 30th of June. But the consequence management means that all regions which have not reached 90% by the 30th of May, they are all dissolved. So all regions that have not reached the 90% requirement by 30th of May, you are officially dissolved. Go home. You are no longer leaders of the EFF in that region. Then the CCT members who are the national leaders are going to take over those regions. They will identify those that they want to work with. It may be some of the members from the previous region, a dissolved region, or it might be completely new members. If you are in the dissolved region and you are not appointed to be in the interim region, stick to your branch. Don't go saying you are monitoring other branch. If we find you being a self-appointed political tourist, we're going to charge you and deal with you decisively. When you are dissolved, you have no right to go to another branch. Stick to your branch. That's all. So that's the consequence management. The other management, consequence management we apply is that if a province by the 30th of June has not reached 90% of all its regions, that province is automatically dissolved. So if Limpopo has got no 90% of regions, all regions reaching 90% by end of June is dissolved. Same Gauteng and all of them. If your province has not reached 90% in all the regions by the 30th of June, the province is dissolved. All those regional leaders who are dissolved as regional leaders and they were party leaders in councils and legislatures, they are going to cease to be party leaders in their areas of deployment, be it a council, be it a legislature, be it national parliament. So when we dissolve a province, a party leader or a chief whip or anything senior in the legislature, by virtue of being a member of the PCT, once you are dissolved, you also cease to be a party leader in your municipality. So if in Tshwane, because we have dissolved it, you are dissolved, and the chairperson of Tshwane was a party leader in Tshwane, he ceased to be a party leader in Tshwane because he was a party leader by virtue of being a leader of the EFF in the region. That is consequence management, Tidi. I hope you are listening. You're not going to write your own things and say there are no consequences in the EFF. So on the 24th of June, all public representatives, they like saying councillors. It's not councillors. All public representatives, if by the 24th of June, you have not launched your branch, the Secretary General will write a letter of suspension to you directly. Because you can't be a public representative of the EFF not coming from a branch in good standing. Public representatives of the EFF must come from branches in good standing. So Nwakumalachi calls me during the weekend or Friday, Thursday, he says, yeah, there are people here who are complaining that you want to remove them as councillors because they didn't launch their branches. But there are people who are treated with kids' gloves. Who's being treated with kids' gloves? It says, Mbuiseni Ndlozi. Mbuiseni Ndlozi has launched his branch. but leave Mbuyiseni Ndlozi, the president of the EFF's branch, could not be launched by the chairperson of the EFF in Limpopo, who comes from the same branch, successfully failed to launch his branch. There will be consequence management on him also, by the way. The president of the EFF had to leave and go and launch his own branch because there's consequence management. Why do you want to become a chairperson of the EFF in Limpopo if you can't launch your own branch? To an extent that the president must come down and sit in meetings of preparing to launch a branch. Mr. Josie Butani could not launch his branch. He doesn't have a branch. He could not launch his branch. Why does he want to lead a province if he can't launch his own branch? Why? So, I said to Mwaku, all officials have launched their branches, by the way. All of them. So who can be treated with kids' gloves when officials have launched their own branches? Do you have a branch, sir? Is it launched? All of us have launched our branches. Because we don't ask people to do things that we can't do. But this thing of people surviving in their personal lives by piggybacking on us, by virtue of just being close to us, therefore there must be leaders. No, it must come to an end. We are building an organization. The ANC is dying. The first task we have, all of us here, is to build an organization. In South Africa, there is only formed, and that is the ANC. It was formed in 1912. Since that time, there's never been a party that was formed national. All parties that were formed were regional, were tribal, were racist. There's never been a party in the history of South African politics that was formed national other than the ANC. We are trying now with the EFF to form a national organization. That is our primary task. And if you can't keep that task, what is the point of keeping you? Leave the winning of the word. That is by the way. We were not here for words. Leave the winning of the municipality. That is by the way. We must first form a political organization that will serve as an alternative to the ANC. There's never been a party in South Africa that has presented itself as an alternative to the ANC. I said to the SG of the EFF, you can't say you are what is the region we have never launched in KZN? Mzinyati. We are an alternative of the ANC in Mzinyati when we don't have a region in Mzinyati. How are you an alternative in Mzinyati? You can't say the presence of the EFF in Durban represent alternativeness of the EFF in Mzinyati. That is an imagination. That is fantasy. We have to have presence in Mzinyati if we want to be an alternative to the ANC. And chairpersons of Limpopo and the rest of these others who are failing to launch branches of the EFF do not have an appreciation of that. They don't appreciate that. Do not appreciate that we are forming an organization that is going to replace the ANC because the ANC is dying a natural death. The ANC is not dying because of the EFF. Each of age is too old. Even an old tree at some point must die. So the ANC is dying because of that. It's too old to can handle its own affairs. So when it dies, there must be an alternative, and that alternative is the EFF. Anyone who doesn't comprehend that is an enemy of this leadership and must never be treated as a friend because it's misleading us by laughing with us, by being with us, yet destroying the main agenda of establishing a powerful alternative. So we are not here for these niceties of government. We are here to form an organization. So those things of which coalition, which municipality, leave that to us. It's our business, that one. We must form an organization. Everyone who are going to dissolve, everyone who are going to remove from representing the EFF because you don't come from a branch, in good standing. We'll be doing so because these people are not furthering the agenda of the EFF of establishing itself as an alternative. So we've reached that conclusion. 24 June, we'll release a list of public representatives who are suspended with immediate effect. It's not a secret. We're running our party, and that's how we're running it. If you don't like it, the door is open. No one is forced to stay in this party. We're running it the best we know how. We are the leaders of this organization. We've got a vision for this organization. What is that vision? We are building an organization ground up if we want to provide socialism as an alternative to this capitalist establishment. We cannot come up with an alternative to capitalism if we do not have the ground. We must first establish ourselves in a solid manner on the ground. If you don't see us, that's what we're busy with. And shame, those things don't need cameras because they are more internal, more than anything. That's what we're busy with. We're establishing the EFF in Musina. We're establishing the EFF in Umtata. We're establishing the EFF in that place where those guys formed AIC. Matatiele. Everywhere else, we are established in all corners, including in the Western Cape, by the way. So we are 7 years old now. Almost. We cannot be explaining to leaders what they must do. People who earn money. You come and join politics. In less than 7 years, you earn money from politics. And you don't add value. Just add something. Just add value. You just join politics, you earn a salary, you've got all types of resources to reinvest those resources back into the organization and strengthen it. You don't do it. And then we must be laughing about it. When it comes to EFF and strengthening and building of the EFF, we don't laugh. We have no friends. Let's be enemies. We're declaring it now. Let's be enemies. And anyone who has joined another political party there in Tshwane and everywhere else, and they think they can come back here to the EFF, they are not welcomed. Anyone who has left the EFF, you are not welcomed to join the EFF. Anyone who has left the EFF to wear another political party's T-shirt, I've got a list of them now in Tshwane who are masquerading as EFF members, who are celebrating the dissolution of EFF in Tshwane, thinking it's their turn. You will never be leaders and members of the EFF. You left, you left. EFF is not holiday in. EFF is not holiday in where you do check in and check out. There's no check in and check out here. You check in wire. You check out, you must go forever. You don't have time to be entertaining Facebook celebrities who live here and insult our organization, cost us vote, and then when their things don't go right, they come back here. Done. If you have ever left the EFF, it's done. Go. And those people that CD speaking about that we took their salaries, we did. It's not a secret. We did. And we're going to do tomorrow. It's our own internal affairs. We decide how best we run our organization. We don't decide how you run your racist News 24. We've never decided that. You kept a racist editor there called Adrian. Is it Adrian? Basson. The most racist young boy. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, President. Let's take questions in the House, then we'll take two more from the WhatsApp group. Simbali. Okay.
Mr. Malema, going back to...
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry. Going back to the IEC, you've said that, when you look at the issue around COVID-19, it is around for a very long time. When you want these local government elections to be postponed, do you have some sort of time frame that you want to pitch to the IEC in terms of when would be a suitable time to have these elections? There's also been a development here. You've recently been seen with the former president, Jacob Zuma, and he now seems to demand that he wants to be acquitted for his arms deal charges, saying that he's citing the lack of legitimacy when it comes to the state. What is your take on that issue? And another development when it comes to state capture, there is the extradition efforts from the South African government to have the Guptas be arrested. What is your take on that route that the South African government is planning to take? Thank you.
I want to ask the CIC of the EFF. We've seen on social media, every time when racist banks like ABSA, FNB close down the accounts of people, the first organization that gets tagged is the EFF. And I saw that the deputy president of the organization was in talks with Emerald van Zyl. I just wanted to find out if there will be a program of action from the organization itself against racist banks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, you know, when it comes to banks, Corona disrupted us big time, and the racist financial sector must be thankful to Corona, because we had a clear program to target the white-owned financial institutions, majority of which ill-treat our people and exclude them and charge them high interest rates. So we have no sympathy when it comes to ABSA and FNB. They are the most racist banks. ABSA and FNB actually fight political battles. If you fight Praveen or you fight Cyril and you still have an account in ABSA, you are very fortunate. They use their financial muscle and that court nonsensical decision that they can terminate people's accounts without any due process to fight political battles, because they know if you don't have an account, you will not be economically active. And when you are not economically active, there's no way you can be impactful politically. So we have no sympathy. We are waiting for relaxations of this COVID-19 regulations, and we're going to go very hard on the financial sector. They've taken the financial sector, they've taken a security cluster, and they are working with gangsters in the security cluster to undermine our democracy. Gangsters. Where have you ever heard there was an investigating officer who was suspended there in Western Cape? There were marches even to Parliament that he must be reinstated. Police have been suspending people here. Patani, that intelligence one of Zuma. There's never been a march. An investigating officer gets suspended because of his proximity to drug lords. Then there is some activity that seeks to threaten police commissioner. They've taken the security cluster. And when they take it, they give it to Indians and coloreds, because they are excluding us, Africans. That's what they're doing. They've taken the Hawks. You know, that thing of the Hawks is being abused. That thing of the Hawks is being abused big time. You know, very interesting things happen. When Cyril goes to Parliament, right, this is what happens. Either one of us here is going to receive a letter from SARS, or is going to receive some questions from the Hawks. It's not a coincidence. Every time Cyril goes to Parliament and we have to question him, one day I will take one of these problematic journalists, and I will be wasting my time, to show that person, look, this is the letter from SARS on the eve of Cyril's appearance in Parliament, all the time. They do that. And then, some service provider of the EFF will get questions from Hawks, and then they say you printed these ones. What are they providing these ones? Yeah.
Providing communication equipment.
Yeah, this one's what is commission equipment when man. Speakers, whatever sound or something, whatever you're providing. And then the EFF pays you. The day Cyril goes to Parliament, you are going to get a letter. Why was the EFF paying you? We were doing some sound system. Okay. Did Mr. Malema talk to you in the process? Is he the one who procured you? Or Floyd Shibambo? Who spoke to you? No, it's Tembi Msani. Who's Tembi Msani? He's a leader of the... Oh, no, fine. If those two didn't talk to you, then you are useless for us. Then they go to the next one. Because they know that after asking you a question, you are going to call the EFF office. No, we got some unpleasant call from the Hawks asking us, why did we get payment from you? They don't want you. They want you to send the message to the EFF so that the EFF, when it goes to Parliament, it must be careful what they raise because the Hawks can pounce on them at any time. That's how manipulative the system has become. So, we are not scared of that. He does that with ANC people. They gave Pule Mabe those things of SIU. Every time he opens his mouth, hey, there is this SIU, man. Because they use that to destabilize you. To destabilize you. When they think this one has got some loud mouth, they send some SIU letter or some SARS letter or some Hawks letter. That's an abuse of office. And Cyril won't sustain it. We fought Zuma. We were told Zuma is the most powerful man with the best intelligence in the country. He's trained. Some people were even saying to us, hey, are you not scared he will kill you? Those are the type of questions we're getting. Who's Cyril? Let him try it. He wants a fight, he will fight, he will find it. We'll give it to him. Nkandla was too far, Sandest is here. We'll bring it to him to his doorstep, at his home. I'm not scared of Cyril. Let Cyril arrest the corrupt unashamedly, but let him not abuse power. And those who are next to, hey, these people have abused us for too long. Our children are too old now for us to be subjected to rubbish from anyone. We're not going to take that nonsense from anyone. Let them try it. We are not Ace Makashule. We are not Ace Makashule. I told Puli, I said, Puli, these people are going to fire Ace Makashule. No one will even throw one single stone. When we were fired, this Johannesburg came to a standstill, Chief. We are not Ace Makashule. You want a war, you will get it. You want to abuse state power. Brian Shibambo pays his VBS things through compromise arrangement. You want to bring that to us. Singena apiti. Where do we come in? When Brian Shibambo pays back the VBS money, that illiterate called Polifan Vega, I called her here to come and question me the other day. She ran. She had a toothache, and then later on it was ear infection, later on it was an eye infection, later on, all types of things. She ran away. But she goes around speaking bad about us when she was given an opportunity to come here, uncensored, ask us about anything. Brian Shibambo reaches a compromise with VBS people, with Vele. And then, those curators. So, okay, fine. You know what? This thing is not working for me. It's not taking me anywhere. Let's compromise and let me pay whatever you say I must pay. He pays that back. Once you call it a compromise, it doesn't mean there is any party guilty. You want to just get rid of this thing. It's a compromise at SARS. It doesn't mean you admit the liability. But for the sake of progress, let's do it and let's move on. Yes, I got the money from Vele, and I got the money for this. But if this money is going to cause problems, let's compromise. Let me pay half of it or quarter of it, whatever the compromise is, I don't know. Compromise happened. This country is where it is because there was a compromise. The ANC compromised. And was the compromise meaning the ANC accepted defeat? No. For the sake of progress, let's find one another and just move on. That's what compromise means. It doesn't mean Brian Shibambo admits some guilt. Nonsense. I'm not his spokesperson, but I saw that differently looking one going around TVs and talking, and I'm like, this one doesn't even appreciate the concept compromise, what it means. We want one single elections, by the way. One. If it was the EFF's way, we must hold all the elections in 2024. Local, provincial, national elections. One elections, because we hold elections here in South Africa every second year. It's too much, it's expensive. Politicians can't concentrate on their job because they must be permanently campaigning. And in between those 2 years, there is something called by-elections. We are busy with by-elections as well. So we are in a permanent election campaign. Where have you ever seen a country like that? When do you get time to work? We are asking that elections must be held in 2024, single election. If we can't do single elections, postpone these elections to early next year. And let's observe how the virus behaves, and then we can take it from there. Extradition on the Guptas, good thing. They must be arrested. They must come here and be held accountable for their crimes. So let them go to court, let them be held accountable. The same as with Zuma. Zuma must go to court and be held accountable. And that's exactly what Zuma is doing. Zuma is in court in Pietermaritzburg, in Gugundlof. The man is in court. So I don't know what you want me to say now. What must I say? I must say Zuma must not apply for acquittal. No, I can't say that. The man must present himself to court. And the man is in court. What he does in court is for him and for the courts to decide. Is it a free and fair court? If the answer is yes, good. Is Zuma appearing before court? Is being held accountable? Yes, good. I can't choose Zuma's legal strategy on how he's going to fight it. Because if I wanted to do that, then I would have asked the EFF to join as a friend of the court. We think the evidence and the prosecuting authority that is there is capable enough to trial Zuma in front of an independent, objective judge in a neutral court. Is that the case? Yes, it is the case. It's done. My only problem I have is with the Constitutional Court. Zondo ran here and went to Constitutional Court and said he's got an agent application on Zuma's appearance in Zondo Commission. It was agent application. Till today, the Constitutional Court has not given its pronouncement on agent application. When we criticize that court's behavior, Kazakh of Indian cabal will be saying, no, they are taking the courts. Why did they give him, the Grand Zondo, an agent application and take forever to pronounce on agent application? What is agent now? What is agent? Since they've taken long, what is agent? The granting of that agent application by this delay is a clear indication that from the beginning, there was nothing agent. But Bruce Kapp, a deputy chief justice, is applying to us, who can't be seen, rejecting him. They've accepted him under the pretext of agent application. Why is it taking long to make a pronouncement on agent application? Only God knows. Now, when did we argue the unsealing of documents? Is it not been 3 months now?
Yeah, it's 3 months.
They said they issue judgment in less than 3 months according to the norms and standards of the Judicial Service Commission. It's over 3 months. The judgment on unsealing of documents of Cyril Ramaphosa have not been released, despite the fact that when the judge when he was closing the case, he said, this matter is in public interest. Meaning, it's important that the sooner we make a pronouncement on this matter, the better. Till today. Oh! Umnato ba Ramaphosa, man. It's very nice to be Cyril Ramaphosa. Other people's cases, 3 months, pronounce. Public protector, pronounce. Why is there no pronouncement on the unsealing of documents beyond the norms and standards? Only God knows. They are the special ones. The question is being asked by Malema. Huh? The same independent media, the same independent NGO, including Kathrada Foundation, that is part of the Indian cabal, has not asked the question, why is the unsealing of document case taking long to be pronounced? You know why? There are interesting names there. They are stuck. They are stuck. So what can you do? If you march and say, we demand that the Constitutional Court must release agent application, the corrupt are marching to fight the government which is fighting corruption. When you march for electricity, the corrupt are marching to fight the government that is fighting corruption. You can't do anything. The same media says to you, the corrupt. We are not corrupt. We are not corrupt. No court of law has ever pronounced us corrupt. Our taxes are in order. We are not corrupt. We are not investigated by anyone. We are not scared of them. I was expelled from the ANC by Cyril Ramaphosa, who changed Derek Hanakom's recommendation of 5 years suspension. When it went to Cyril, Cyril changed it to expulsion. Do you think I'm aloof that if Cyril can get something on me, he can waste time on me when he has not wasted time to expel me? It was not the DC's recommendation for my expulsion. It was Cyril's decision. I was expelled by Cyril. If this Cyril can get anything on me, SARS, Hawks, whatever, yes, is going to go on top of Njelele Mountain and announce it. Or there is a big problem here, the man is going. So, why would the most corrupt not be arrested? What is that law firm? Werksman is meeting with the Hawks every day, trying to persuade them to arrest us on the VBS. The Hawks said, there is nothing. What do you have? Give us something. There's nothing. We can't. So, there are people who are putting pressure on the Hawks to do it for the sake of doing it. I don't want to talk about Cyril because I don't have, until they bring me a solid thing. But I'm told he's involved. I said to them, give me something. Give me something on his involvement pushing Hawks to arrest us. Why would I take these positions I'm taking if I'm corrupt and I know I'm going to be arrested anytime soon? I will be asking for forgiveness and meetings at night, and they won't do anything to me, not me. They can do those things with Makashule. And not me, I'm not a small boy. I don't preside over some small organization. He must try me, you'll see.
Thanks, President. Let's take the last two. There's no one in the room. Closing now. Take the last two from WhatsApp. Come, son.
All right. So, from what is this media house? Ngube. From Brighton, Ngube, from Izwi, again in Zimbabwe, Izwi Times. President Ramaphosa is addressing the nation now at the same time as CIC Malema is addressing the nation. Let's talk of coverage by the mainstream media in South Africa. Is the EFF happy with this going towards election time? Will ordinary EFF supporters afford to live stream on online platforms as the mainstream media is currently giving airtime to Ramaphosa And then Sibahle Mota from Jacaranda FM asks, on By Cic High School, what is the objective of the protest, and can you divulge any further details on the protest? After the video of the manhandling emerged, did the EFF get in touch with the school?
Well, there's no protest. We have not finished a press conference. Already a journalist is distorting what we said we were going to do. There's no protest. What protest? We are going to have a commemoration at what? By Cic High School, where a racist white security guard manhandled a black young male for wearing EFF regalia. And we are going to have our commemoration there to demonstrate to all that South Africa is a liberated zone. We can go anywhere with our colors. We are a legitimate, registered political formation, third in parliament. So we have a right to be everywhere. And that child had a right to wear the way he was wearing because it was a career day. And to be a politician can be a career. There is a course being offered at the university called politics. Yeah? So that boy was just showing them what he wants to become. If they say you didn't have the right to be there, they still had no right to manhandle him. They should have negotiated nicely in a dignified manner with him to ask him to leave the premises. But why is he being manhandled by a white security guard only? Because there are black security guards around him, that young man, who are not manhandling him. But the supremacist thought that he's got superior powers and he can manhandle that boy. So the school knows who are coming. June 16, what time? 10 o'clock. We'll be there. The school has been informed. The police have been informed. This country is liberated. We can gather anywhere. We can wear our regalia anywhere. And no one has got a right, not even the racist of note, to stop us from wearing our regalia. People died on the 16th of June, 1976, for that boy to wear that regalia. He had all the right to wear that regalia. And no one has got a right to stop him from wearing that regalia. What was the other question?
Cyril addressing at the same time, mainstream media coverage.
Cyril is weak, man. He doesn't speak well. He doesn't inspire. He speaks like an extremely hopeless person who doesn't believe in what he says himself. And it's good he's speaking at the same time with the EFF. Let South Africans choose who they want to listen to. It's not for the first time we've done this. We've had rallies at the same time. But we always know who attract numbers. Because Cyril doesn't inspire anyone. He doesn't inspire himself. He doesn't believe in anything he says. So why bother by a person who's got a crisis of low self-esteem? We're not responsible for that. The Minel family should have instilled a serious confidence in him. We're not his adopted family, so we're not responsible for him. Who the media covers, out of the respect of the office, they have to cover him, especially the SABC, because if he comes in that capacity, so you know that that office must still be respected by all. Whether we'll get a free and fair coverage going to elections, it's a game we've always played. We know how they cover. We always fight for our space, and we always try by all means to provide an alternative media coverage because we know the media dynamics of South Africa. So I don't know, TG, if you paid this time for people to have access to our social media platform and what do you call it? The website and all those things. So normally we pay that people have free access to our website so that they don't have to spend any money knowing the biasness of the South African media. So we've got that option. We pay MTN, Vodacom, and all those people to take us live for free, and whoever wants to watch our press conferences from there shouldn't pay anything because we understand the type of constituency we serve. But otherwise, ladies and gentlemen, our more emphasis is on branches and more emphasis on regional people's assemblies. We'll inform you from time to time when the RPA is going to sit where, what time, and all of that. And then you can go and give coverage to some of those regional people's assemblies. Anyone who engages in misconduct and disruptive conduct, that person will be defining himself or herself outside the EFF. All those who are tasked now to go and make sure that we reach 90% target of branches should do so with seriousness, because we don't want people who don't do their jobs and at the end of the day they become crybabies when they were given an ample time to do their jobs. We are here to build the EFF and not to benefit anything from the EFF. So if you are here for PECs and for salaries and you neglect your primary objective of building the organization, everything else that you regard as important will disappear within a night, and you will regret the day you have neglected the organization. EFF comes first for all EFF ground forces and activists. Let's go and build an alternative. Let us be the first generation after 1912 to build an organization, because no one has ever built an organization since 1912, which has taken the ANC toe to toe like the EFF is doing. The ANC has come to accept that it's losing its voters to the EFF, not to the DA, not to anyone else. EFF might not be winning wards, but EFF has never lost a single vote, which is a clear indication that the EFF is the only organization in South Africa that is growing without using tribalism, without using money and slaughtering of cattle, without using gangsterism approach and saying we are a colored party. We are a party for everyone, black, white, colored, Indian. But where some of our colored and Indian communities, including Africans, are being used to undermine the African agenda, we'll point it out. And anyone who wants to catch feelings about that, so be it. If you are Indian and you are colored and you are not furthering the interest of the white monopoly capital to keep Africans out of senior positions, you have nothing to worry about. But if you are Indian or colored who has been co-opted by white capital to keep African professionals out of senior positions, if the shoe fits, wear it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commander-in-Chief. We've come to the end of our briefing. Thank you, journalists, for coming to the only press conference that matters. Thank you.